Hi, I'm Dunril. I'm the project leader for Wake. Wake is pretty much a group of friends. We got together. We started building in a World of Warcraft 3.35a engine. Basically, it's a roleplay project that includes players tremendously. We've been in the private role-playing community for quite some time. A lot of like-minded individuals that basically come together and had a unified behind a vision that essentially is Wake. Pretty much the goal of Wake has always been first and foremost to its players. Unlike other servers, we never fail to allow players to hold key positions, make critical decisions, and actually have a meaningful impact in our setting. Choices aren't really illusions here. You're not going to get railroaded down a certain path. You're actually going to be able to make in-game choices. We're trying to reach a greater audience, a greater crowd, basically to bring in players and to make this something that is new and fresh rather than repeating and having the same population as we did before in previous iterations. The project's been running for a couple of years now. The setting that we're using is a highly modified setting, 3,000 years in the past prior to World of Warcraft happening. So modern WoW, 3,000 years is a lot of time. So there isn't much written by Blizzard on this. Other than a brief paragraph. So we had to fill in gaps, and how we filled in the gaps were we used actual real-life history, and we brought in an actual historian, a group of our community, and members of our team, and we actually collaborated to make a vivid world that was both realistic to Warcraft and had some footing in the real world. With this footing, we actually it was well done, and we have pages upon pages of lore written out for this setting. It set some of the influences around the 4th century AD during the decline of the Roman Empire, are kind of influenced in some of our settings, some of our gear. That being said, the stories are meaningful because we're going to be able to have different locations. Hillsbrad Fields, for example, Terran Mill, just whole Hillsbrad is a completely new addition to the world. It doesn't look like retail at all. It's a complete, it's a fresh setting, basically. You're coming into this world, and this world edit that we completed is approximately 6 times larger than the actual retail version of Hillsbrad. Highly customized. We have our own launcher. We have our own lore team. We have our own professional forums. We have a programmer on staff, I should say. Basically, we have our own game team, and we're not making any money off this. We're just doing this for free. This is something that we've always wanted to see as players, and that's the reason why we're doing it for the most part.
I honestly, looking at it just from above, it feels like I could probably get lost.
You actually do get lost. There's a GM mode where you're able to fly, and you're able to go 20 times the normal running speed as a player. And even in that mode, I still get lost. We have a lot of the same setup. It basically looks like a foothills. It looks like foothills. Like I said, it's 6 times larger than the actual Hillsbrad foothills version of retail. Completely done from the ground up, all custom. We're not going to have an actual mapping game besides a rough sketch you can bring up on your screen, and you're going to get lost just looking at the sketch.
There is a lot of wilderness, and I am catching on to this sandbox element that you're trying to perpetuate. What should players be expecting as they go in a world that is still relatively new? Because, like you said, you took Decline of the Roman Empire sort of theme. What should players be expecting? Should they be expecting the same kind of chaos that came from that, or should they be expecting something where they have the opportunity to potentially reverse this eventual decline of Stromgarde?
So the Arathorian Empire, it's been around for a while, 150 years in our custom written lore. It's built forts, it's built mighty empires, basically. It's the players, when they come inside this realm, they're gonna see visual reminders of an actual declining empire, posts that aren't manned anymore, bridges that are starting to become, they're decaying. It's these visual representations that they're going to feel like there's something going on deeper inside a greater political mind. The place where these we're going to be focusing at is called Fourth Doris, And Fort Thoris is on the remote edges of this edit. It has Hillsbrad Fields next to it, and it is very, very remote and very wilderness-like. We're going to be a completely player-driven world. We're going to try to be player-driven. Non-player characters, NPCs, are going to be limited in this aspect. They're going to be more of a supporting light rather than the guiding light. And the idea behind this is to actually have an entire Imperial outpost ran by the players, in essence. And also a player-driven warband. There's multitudes of different factions rather than the Imperials themselves. There's Alteraci, which are real-world, basically Saxon Viking raiders, kind of. And then there's the Hillsbradi, which are a Celtic kind of themed people. And they all have their own goals. They all have their own assimilations. They see things differently than each other. The Imperials are going to have to make choices when they're governing these players. You know, this remote outpost of 50 men on the frontier. I mean, without spoiling it, the development side of things, we plan to expand. We plan to have these patches. We plan to have additions. We actually are making a combat system from the ground up at the moment. Economy systems. We plan to imagine Dalaran in its infancy, 3,000 years prior. The whole idea is to have this running phase go on while we expand it and make it even bigger into our own custom world. If we have the player interest and the player interest is there's no telling how far this is going to go.
For the most part, from what I've seen and what everyone else is seeing as we talk over it, is a very dedicated work ethic that created a very interesting world. I know there was some contention and some disagreement with the style chosen. However,
if people in other communities say, "Oh, hey, these guys are just beaten off to total war," and that absolutely isn't the case. We've seriously, there was one paragraph written on this period, and not much in between. So we wanted a little bit more creative freedom, you know. We have systems that are coming out. I mean, just to reiterate back on the point that we're not beating off to total war here in history, real life history, while it has its footings in it. Players are actually going to be able to have a monster player character. And what a monster player character is imagine you log in and you're morphed. You're a Yeti. I mean, you're an actual monster, and you're in the wilderness, and you have commands at your disposal where you can actually spawn. You can bring in dead meat, a dead deer, for example, and players can come across this dead deer carcass, and you're there as a Yeti eating on it. You can have commands where you influence the atmosphere around you, and the other role players see that there's a shift in the wind or something, and this displays on above their screens. And these monster player characters are going to have the ability to influence the world around them in a way where there's actual danger when these people go out to the wilderness. They're not going to be able to. There isn't going to be 20 bear NPCs around. You know, you're not going to see that. People are actually going to hunt down animals and whatnot, but there's just going to be this real lurking, persistent danger when players go out to the wilderness of an actual player themselves as a monster. Especially with monster player characters too. Just don't think they're there to kill your character. They're there to actually provide actual horror element to the server.
So last words, anything you want to say?
So basically, it's called the Wake Project, and you could find us at www.wakerp.com. www.wakerp.com. And we would love to have you there. We'll welcome you to our community. We'll bring you in. We'll give you a warm hug. I'm just asking you to give us a shot, because we have a very welcoming community. We have forums that are ready to go if you guys have any questions. We're going to be launching soon. So if you really want to come and try out something new for role-playing, something that really hasn't been done before, I would suggest you come here and give us a shot. Put aside any stigma that you might have and actually give it a shot. It's completely free. You know, everybody's doing this as volunteer. You know, nobody's making any money. You know, we're just doing this as fans. You know, and I guess that's pretty much it. You know, I appreciate you guys looking at the video and watching it. We're showcase some of the locations, some of our interesting things, and some of the models. You know, it's something that's done from the ground up. And a lot of people have put in their heart. A lot of people have put in a lot of time into this, and it's just amazing to see the work ethic in game. So come on, stop by at www.wakerp.com. Thanks for watching.